It's very nice meeting you.
Now with the WhatsApp thing, everybody around there is a thing called WhatsApp events. This is like you show them things that you don't want to see, so but in the end the information is transferred.
I want to play because I one time I was teaching them that you don't want to play that I'll play one idea.
This is my last year. I'm giving notes. If you're young, if you're well experienced, all the time. We're gathering more influence and more information. Very
So you're going back to supervisor from the conference. So for example, so I just wanted to supervise all the all this 100 people at conference. And I was doing the central science article about the restaurant doing lots. And he told us that it's very similar between tools and the combination restaurant, even virtual, they're great. Free and free. I was able to find out maybe that's it. And I guess
girls and
and the other one was actually some discussion. So the opening speakers we just come here and deliver speech. So and then deliver if you want to speak, normally not I can probably switch to More people will be able to join on market.
They said it would be in the beginning of next school year, so it's going to be probably October. We're placing me. It's a shame because I wanted to have my impact. And now we're dealing with
С возвращением мы с тобой еще не пересекались. Я искренне прям счастлива, что тебя вот я прям давайте обязательно участвую в сегодняшнем получилось. Работала в отдельном месте, сначала занималась мероприятиями, потом пришла, я подумала, вот, и сейчас я директор команды, отвечаю за социальные сети, которые тоже Телеком 26 занимаюсь всем, что очень. В данном случае инициировала, по сути, Финтех — это второй креатив, Подожди, 13 век. 12 век, 13 век, 13 век пришла источник, я пришла в компанию, там вернулась в Москву. Хотя была красивая. Вот, я просто чуть раньше делала, сейчас вот у меня возможно, что-то деловая тема, поэтому вообще контактировать. Вообще, да, это реально правда. Короче, да, все, что связано, на самом деле, Юле не сообщает, даже да. Вот. Они поддерживают. Наоборот, транскрипт еще стал более таким. Я не знаю, я случайно понимаю, поэтому знание всех письменно американцев. Потому что раньше у меня был начальник Дэвид Шоу. Он любил исправлять. Например, это, да. Honor, например,
Hello everyone, we're about to start in a couple of minutes, so we can take our seats. It is working.
Yeah, what we're doing here is trying to collaborate different players, as well as non-profit startups, big corporations, universities. It's challenging. It's technological. We're actually in the process of building up
So guys, let's start. Someone else is missing from the panel. Oh. So, hello everyone. Okay. We're about to start. Yes. 6 years ago, I moved to Israel. And it was a challenging time by itself because I had a small baby and I had no job, and I just started everything from the scratch. And I started in cybersecurity, which for me was never something a woman could do. And I proved it to myself. And for most of the 5 years, I was the only one woman in the room. And every time I had to prove myself that I deserve to be here, I deserve to be heard, and that I'm not just an immigrant or a lady in a skirt, but I'm a human being, and I could also make decisions, and I want my voice to be heard. And then I just visited Russia months ago, and it was one of the big industry events with entrepreneurs. And they found that out of 100 men in the room, there were like 20 women. And they were so scared to talk, and it hurts. So thank you all for coming, and thank you all for being a part of this amazing discussion. And thank you for our international speakers who made it possible to be with us here today. And welcome. Let's start. So let me start with introducing the CEO of Moscow Innovation Cluster, Anatoly, who is hosting us today. Anatoly.
Thank you. Greetings, everyone, here in the heart of Moscow Innovation Cluster. And we are a fund, and we belong to the Moscow City, and we are financed by the Moscow City. So we have a special council that the mayor of Moscow is chairing, and we have many distinctive players from the innovation system, ecosystem in our council. It's Skolkovo, Rosnano, biggest corporations, Academy of Science, different universities, ministries, whoever is playing a major role, whatever concerns innovations. So our main idea is to boost cooperation between different players, smallest ones, startups, big corporations, private state, universities. So we need to make it work that everyone can meet each other, so we provide different infrastructure and programs to make the cooperation happen, and we have different resources for this. We have financial resources, as we provide financial aid of different type to innovative companies. We do special programs which we call technological challenges in different areas, and we're not limited by any sector of the economy. So here we now have basically we go by collecting demands from different corporations, medium-sized, big ones, depending on what their needs, what kind of technologies they need for their business processes, and we help them find these technologies. Scouting in Russia, both internationally. We already have cases where we landed some technologies from abroad because they weren't existent in Russia. So we work both ways. We set up international programs, and the first one we did was with China, which is a mirror program where we help to prepare Russian companies penetrate the Chinese market and vice versa. We have a digital platform, and we call sometimes ourselves first digital cluster, because it's a special platform called i.Moscow, which provides for different services for innovative business to help them grow and get different services. It's quite popular, and today we already have close to 30,000 companies from all over Russia registering on this platform. We work actively with regions. In Russia, as you know, it's 80 plus regions, so we're connecting ties with different innovation centers around Russia, which helps us also source different high-end technologies from all over Russia to make, so we can kind of be a bridge between, again, small technological companies and big corporations who basically provide demand for these technologies. I can tell more and more about Cluster, but today is more important to talk about women in business. And I think Russia, perhaps together with some other countries, I'm not going to name continents, but there is a certain trend that husbands register businesses on their wives. So I don't know if we're going to count them for businesswomen or not, but overall, I've checked, I've went over some numbers, and I saw that actually Russia is not that far from US or Europe in terms of percentages, where women are studying for whatever concerns IT, or if it's working in data science or university majors. Everywhere it's less than 25%, so the numbers aren't big. So if we can do something as Cluster to change this, whether we're talking about some popularization, educational programs, or it's some special programs that can actually help practical wise. But of course, we're not discriminating. I mean, we're open to any kind of companies, and if there will be more beautiful women like here in this venue, then we'll be happy to help as much as we can. So I can wish good luck to everyone who is here or just starting. But again, we have a lot of different instruments and programs how we can help. So I advise that you carefully see what can suit you, and more than welcome to address me personally. And of course, I have a big team here, but anyway, thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. And a special thanks for hosting us. So, Olga, you're a panelist. Well, so it's pretty hot in here, and I'm sorry, and the air conditioners are working on this wall, but probably the document is just hot. So let me, before we proceed to the introductions of our beautiful panelists, so let me give you a word for the British Embassy in Moscow, who supported this event. Thank you so much. Nice to meet you, Julia. So Julia, I'm sorry, Crouch.
That's fine. I'll be mispronouncing Russian surname.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So let's welcome Julia.
Уважаемые гости, от имени посольства Великобритании я рада приветствовать вас сегодня на мероприятии, посвященном роли женщин в профессиях, связанных с технологиями. I'm now going to speak in English, you'll be relieved to hear. Thank you. It's such a pleasure to meet all of you today, to see such a brilliant crowd of women and also online who are involved in technology. I'm really looking forward to hearing about different people's experiences of working in the technological industry in Russia, but we've also got guests from Israel and from the Middle East, so it's fantastic to have women here to share their experiences, because although we may come from very different backgrounds, I think some of our experiences will be similar, and we may have different methods of dealing with the challenges we face that we can share. Technology is such an important industry. It's dynamic, it's exciting, especially in Russia. We've seen some amazing companies, as well as multiple startups. So where would we be in our modern world with companies like Yandex and Sver? It's hard to imagine. There are also some incredible women leading technology companies in Russia. I did want to also just very briefly touch on the importance of technology in the climate agenda. So this week, the UK has been hosting the president of the UN COP Climate Change Committee in Russia. That's a British MP called Alok Sharma. He's been meeting lots of people in the Russian government, and this morning I've come from a meeting with lots of climate experts. They were very clear that technology is going to be part of the solution to this existential threat that climate change poses to us all. So as well as doing a very important job, you're potentially helping to save our planet from the very real threats that climate change poses. And I hope that some of you in this room will be engaged in part of that agenda. So we're here to talk about women in the tech sector, and gender is a really important priority for the UK, both in the UK and in how we engage internationally. Our Foreign Secretary spoke at the UN at the end of October and spoke about the challenges of COVID and building back from COVID, but said we can only do that better if we engage in in supporting women and tackling the challenges that women face in the workplace. So for us, building back our economy must go alongside tackling inequality. So what does it mean in the tech industry? I'm certainly far from a tech expert, so I'm looking forward to understanding a bit more of that from you. But a quick Google of some statistics shows that it's quite a challenging position for women, and I look forward to hearing if you support that. But I'm told that only 3% of girls in the UK put tech as their first choice of career, and while there are 33% of women in tech in the UK, only 10% of senior roles are going to women. Similarly, in Russia, I understand that although there are 21% of specialist IT are women, only about 2% are in leadership roles. So there's clearly quite a bit of work to do if those figures are anything like accurate. But on a positive note, I'm told that the universities in St. Petersburg have seen a massive increase in women signing up for technology. So let's hope that we're on a more positive trajectory. And as I say, I'm very interested to hear the discussion today. And I hope everybody will feed in your experience because, as was just said, I think everybody has an important voice and everybody's experience in understanding the challenges we face are very valid. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. Thank you, and special thanks for trying to speak in Russian. Regardless, I know it's a difficult language. So I'm sorry I didn't introduce you officially, and now we are moving to the introductions of the panelists. So the guests we have here, please take a seat. So we do have today Julia Crouch. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we do have Julia Crouch, who is the acting deputy head of mission of United Kingdom here in Russia. A warm welcome to Julia. We do have Olga Dyachenko, who is created everything what we are looking here today. Thank you, Olga, for putting this together. So Olga is the co-founder of Impact, the women community of headliners. We closed, how do you call it? Closed investors club in Russia. Impact investors.
Impact investors.
Impact investors, which is important. Thank you, Olga. We do have Karen Cohen-Gatt, who is Deputy Chief of Mission of the Israeli Embassy in Moscow. Welcome. We do have Joanna, all the way from London or Dubai, I would say. CEO of Collaboration Innovation Technology Forum, one of the biggest membership-based organizations in the UK. Thank you. We have Anastasia Davidova, who is ex-St. Petersburg, and now she lives in Dubai, in the United Arab Emirates. Anastasia is a co-founder of CrossFit educational platform, and she is the head of open source accelerator, Cosmodrome. And we do have Dina Karkash with us, advisor and strategic portfolio manager and advisor at IITF, and member of Global Women in UBC, and mentor in different accelerators and global programs. Thank you, Dina. And it was a last day because, you know, this event was spread out of a couple of weeks, and Dina has some raw data that we couldn't not share today. Dina, could you tell us more about your research and amazing facts about Russia and entrepreneurship?
Greetings to everyone. Can I have the presentation on the screen? Perfect. Sorry, I'm going to sit as within a short notice. I just made this presentation at night, so I have to look sometimes on the figures. I'm really sorry about that, but I will try to make it very informative. Thanks, Nina, for organizing the event in such a short time frame. Like, that's amazing. So many people around, and I hope we could have a better networking afterwards. So I'm not going to take more time than myself, which is regarding the events. So it's my pleasure to be here with you and share the overview of the current funding for entrepreneurship in global markets. But let me start first with my introduction so you can understand why I'm here and what's our coverage. Okay, I'm the portfolio manager at one of the most active VC funds in Eastern Europe. Our portfolio consists of more than 400 IT startups across different markets. That allows me to look at more than 1,000 companies per year and also better understand how the pipeline changes over time and what are the current trends. So far, I have reviewed around 8,000 startups, and the numbers still keep ticking. I'm also working as a mentor in a few global acceleration programs within my verticals and represent global women in venture capital, participating in different kinds of initiatives across the markets to improve into the situation in inclusion. So let's start. There are several key factors which have led to the gender disproportion in the workplace. The first one is traditional split of responsibilities in families. So as you know, the women are the one who should take care of households, of children, of families, think about budgeting, and so on. Meanwhile, the men are the one who should make money, protect family, and build career. Also, women, in the time frame of the history, just rarely have joined the workforce. So it takes time to be representative in all the things, in all the fields, and at all the levels in the workspace to say that they're actually representative. The second factor is such distribution of roles in the workplace. So some industries, verticals, and roles are considered to be men only. For instance, this is also the case in manufacturing. I know the company which has worked with the manufacturing company, and they tried to implement the optimization mechanism and the algorithms in the production of and in alloy, but they faced counteractions from the workers. So for several months there were no results, and the female founding team have to move to the city in order to understand what is the problem. So what they found out that the factory workers have considered women to be incompetent in the questions, and they refused to implement the actions. That means that they have used the same production as before. So for a few months, the founding team have to work closely with the executive team in order to observe how the implementation is going. After that, the result has been fascinating, more than 30% efficiency increase in the production. That has never seen before. But imagine 6 months in order to implement one project in manufacturing, because women have been considered incompetent in this particular question. That's incredible. Yeah. So the third factor I want to talk about is men-only communities and man-dominated businesses. So tech and VC industry built on two things: relationship and insider knowledge. Now imagine that you're in the male communities with the male investors, and who would you think they ask to join gatherings, events, and other activities? Who would have a friendly insider information on particular fields? It's most likely to be a man, right? So that's, yeah, you think so. They would be nice to you, but when you have a beer and have a gathering, they're more likely to share something, more friendly inside information with the male, with the guy around. But they would be nice to you. It depends, but they might be. Yeah, the third factor is mentality, education, and religious biases. Our mind, behavior, our belief in ourselves, and other factors depends on the surroundings. So it would be outstanding if in mature ages of your life, you suddenly change your mentality, values, and behavior. You should have a completely different surrounding and community surround. This requires a lot of efforts and a different ecosystem. That's why it is important to change the way we treat and raise children, of course, if we want to have the fundamental changes. That's what is actually done in some Scandinavian countries, and they have got drastic changes. So men understand what the women are going through, and women can understand what the men are going through. And that gives positive results in terms of diversity and inclusion. The fifth factor I want to talk about is risk aversion and forward thinking. Women should think about a safe future. This is often said by caring parents to a girl, like, don't harm yourself, study hard, think long term, find the guy who can maintain the family. This is not always the case, but considered to be a common thing. You could also see that in the school performance. So average GPAs are better for girls, but they're rarely outstanding in any particular subject. But the guy who put everything on one subject, giving up on everything else, They could be better in sports, in football, in math, and it's going to be all right. The family would support them. However, it's not the case for the girls. So grown-up women also should think about the budget, right? So that's another safe field where they have to work, with which they have to work with. Such a situation decreases their risk profile and make them less likely to open the business and take the risk in the future. The sixth factor is multitasking and optimization. That's what I've told before in manufacturing. So women are actually great in that. And now they have reached a completely new level as they started to work and do everything else as before. All these factors have led to both positive and negative consequences. And the numbers on the slides talk by themselves. Just imagine, up to 83% of companies have zero female representation in some major male-dominated countries like Japan, Germany, India, Brazil. More than 4,200 startups have raised funding from the year 2015 within the 5-year horizon. We see the positive trends in funding, and this is actually the increase of 72% in comparison to the period from 2011 to 2015. And we have also seen the positive trend in funding the mixed teams. The increase have been around 56% for 5-year horizon. However, recently the trend changed, and the trend changed within the COVID situation. Don't make the conclusion too fast. In 2020, the funds have asked their portfolio companies to think smart about their financials and reach break even. They have to be profitable or increase their runway up to 18 months or 9 months in order to survive, not to go bankrupt. That might lead to different funding numbers within the years 2019 and 2020, as women are actually smart in terms of saving, budgeting, and financial performance. It has been proven by research. So that might be the case why the numbers are lower, but it still should be observed and certain actions should be taken in order to improve the situation. I would also like to attract your attention to the fact that the funding volume which goes to the female-only founders is pretty low and highly prone to fluctuations. So in 2016 and 2018, there are 2 outliers, but actually it's the same company, it's Ant Group, female-led Ant Group, which have closed their rounds. But you can see a few mountains on the slides. That's exactly the deals. So the outliers can change the complete, the overall situation in the female-only funding. For the mixed team, the situation is not that nice, but it's much better than for female-only founders. Well, the situation looks better with the statistic on deal counts. That means that actually female founders have received less funding during the time frame shown on the slide. But we should look deeper what's exactly the case. Seed represents a higher proportion than early or late stage for funding counts, also broadly for amounts. Funding is sequential, so a high proportion of seed should play forward to make a dent in future years for later stage funding. So we might have higher funding in the future years as the companies of seed stage right now might mature and reach early and late stage in the future. However, if you see the slides show that there is a low representation at early and late stage, and on average, even at seed stage, the female-only founders and mixed teams raise lower amount of dollars than the man-dominated founding teams. It's connected with several factors we have just discussed before at the very beginning. So the women are risk averse, they prefer to raise less capital, and they face difficulties in terms of selling themselves, selling the big vision. And Other factors you already see, and we might discuss them later on. This is just the representation of the female founders in different verticals. So the female founders are more active in fintech, pharma, education. That's what we see at global scale. However, if you look at our pipeline and our startups with which we have worked during the period from 2015, the most companies coming from beauty and wellness, HR tech, medtech, fintech, AI and optimization, child care, and related projects. As you might have seen right now, this is also connected to the factors we have discussed at the very beginning. So right now, there are lots of communities operating on the markets. They are initialized by the founders, by government organization, by different players on the markets. You can just check these ones, and there's going to be more shared by Nina. Just have a look what are they looking for. They have the set goals, and they're active on the global scene in the UK, in the US, for that whole one on this side. Well, I do have some few numbers, and I think the presentation could be shared. There are numbers on exits and how the exits have changed during the time. But that's what I wanted to say right now for the question.
Wow. It's very impressive for just one night trip. Thank you so much, Dina. Thank you. So the numbers speak for itself, as you see. And before we proceed to the panel, please welcome on the stage, Julia. We based our discussion, our panel. I wanted to be as much as interactive as you can. So if you have any questions at any specific moment, please raise your hand, ask in Russian, English, but better in English. Yes. Is it a specific question about the numbers or?
No, it is not. Thank you for your presentation, and it was interesting to see numbers about SEO, of course, but about tech. No, please. Okay. Do you have numbers, or probably you was interesting? How many CTO, female CTO, do we have? Thank you very much.
We're gonna have some data more later on the event.
Okay. Actually, it's a problem to have that statistics as well, and it's based on the Crunchway and PitchBook, which collect the data on the teams, and they try to gather the statistics based on the names and surnames. They do use the parsing in order to understand whether it's female or male, but they cannot actually match the role with the names. That's a big challenge. We do have new research coming out soon on the Russian market. They hope we have more information and insights on particular markets, but right now we have a really bad coverage in terms of women in tech, women in CTO roles, and so there is a brave statistic which says that around 16% up to 21% take the roles in the technical C-level, in the technical roles of C-level. That might be representative, but that doesn't mean that that's only CTOs.
Yeah, thank you.
So we're going to have some more statistics today, and thanks to, we have some amazing CEOs and CTOs, and we have the statistics from Israel, and we've got statistics from Russia. So I believe we'll come up to that topic again. Thank you. Thank you. So do you all have smartphones? Yes? Go to menti.com. Everyone, please, Joanna. Karen. So we'll base our discussion around three steps today. The first one, we're going to discuss the current challenges, what we face right now, and by we, I mean each and every one of us. So it could be any challenge that's bothering you as a woman. So go to menti.com, use the code 66328077, no matter if you watch us online or if you're here with us today, and just type in any language, preferably English, up to 3 challenges that you face. It could be anything. Just be honest, and please be honest with yourself first. So everyone succeed? Are you on menti.com? Yeah. You can submit just one challenge. It could be 3. It could be anything related to family, career, opening a company. So what do we have here? Oh my God, for justice. Male leaders, lack of confidence, age, not enough time, society. It's so many factors affects us globally. Family. Wow. Thank you so much. If you do have something else to say, you can always go again to Menti and submit it, and we'll try to base our discussion around these topics. So, ladies, our dearest panelists, let me start with the challenges about Israel, and maybe with Karen could comment something on what's happening in Israel as a country.
Thank you. First of all, I want to say thank you very much for organizing this great gathering. It's an important thing. And I put the name of networking, the word networking, because I think this is one of the most important things for entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs. And this is exactly what we're doing here, and thank you for doing this. Vis-a-vis Israel, I have to say that I was very much impressed with your presentation, because it's amazing how similar the problems are all over the world. So I have to say that you touched almost on all the topics that are challenging also in Israel. And if I say in general, I think there is of course inequality, gender inequality in Israel in the working sphere, and on every shekel, the Israeli shekel, that a man profits from his work, a woman will profit 68.4 cents. So this is one of the huge imbalances, and the differences in salary are only increasing as the level of education is higher. So as you're becoming more in more expertise levels, then the differences are bigger, unfortunately. And if we're talking about management, you asked about CTOs, management, women managers. So in high tech, we have 35% of women managers, but of course we are 50% of the community, of the society. So there is already an imbalance there. And what was interesting for me is to check the reasons. What happens from if you're starting as a child, believing that you can do everything, that you're a superwoman, and when you're looking at the unicorn companies, the one that have $1 billion companies, you see, I think 3% only of women in the board members. So what happens there? How come the numbers are getting so small? And this phenomena is widely known as the leaky pipeline. So you start in the pipeline, and on the way through the pipeline, more and more women are leaking out, leaving the system, and you end up in a very small percentages of women in the high-ranking positions. And in the high-tech company, in the high-tech sphere, it's even more prominent. And we have different reasons for that. First of all, if you're looking at the schools. So we talked about psychology of women. So of course there is some kind of a phenomena. If you're looking at the computer science schools, programs in schools, you have only 31% of girls. And there are a lot of obstacles that can explain this. Self-esteem, a lack of encouragement by peers, by boys, by parents, by teachers, and there is a lot of fear from not being excellent at everything, not so. This is also like an inner obstacle, and this is something that we need to tackle on the school level. And in Israel, at least, there is a mandatory service in the army, so all women and men are going to the army. And this is a huge step forward, opportunity for men and women when they're going into the labor market. But unfortunately, if we're looking at women in the army, there is another huge leakage there, because when we're looking at the army, only 27 women are going to technical and programming jobs in the army. And if you're talking about cyber, only 18 are going. It's even the lower number, 18%, 17%. So of course there is progress. We see double the women from recent years going more and more to technical and computer science based positions in the army, but still there is a lot there to do. And if we are looking at officers in the army, how many women are in the officers' position in these subjects, the numbers are even lower, 12 till 15%. So, of course, the army is trying. There's a lot of things that we're doing in the army in order to encourage girls to go to school, in their school, to science, technology, and computer technology programs in the school, but it's still, of course, not enough. We have to do more. And then the next point when we're looking at this pipeline is the academy. So we have only 20% of students that are going to high-tech programs and this is a national. There is already a national agenda on this. We are trying to enlarge the numbers and get into 35%. And the government is giving all kinds of subsidies and special funds for universities. So if the university will know that it will gain something like, I think, $250,000 shekel, let's say something like $100,000 for every program, for enlarging the amount of women in these high-tech positions or high-tech subjects, it will do more. And there is an enlargement of numbers, and I think this is part of the job that the government, I am now part of the government, so this is on us, on me, on every government member to help out in this subject. The next thing is the high-tech companies themselves. And then there's a lot of obstacles why women are not dominant part of the high-tech sphere. We have only 33% of women, as I mentioned, in the higher ranking positions in high-tech. And I'm sorry, 33% of women in general, and only 16 in high-ranking positions. And there are a lot of problems. Maybe we should discuss them later on vis-a-vis the ecosystem of women, how it is to be the only woman in the room, the networking difficulties when you have a WhatsApp group in work and it's all male WhatsApp group because they will discuss their only male issues that you don't really want to be part of. But in the end of the day, it's not only that, it's also work-related issues, and then you find out yourself outside of the circle. So there is a lot of things that needs to be done there. And one of the major problems is motherhood. The minute a woman in Israel becomes a mother, and this is a huge trend, we have a very high percentage of of mothers in the society, and we have a lot of, this is good. But a lot, there is, people are dropping out. Women are they're choosing to stay longer with the family, longer with the children. There is a lot of pressure, and there is also an inner wish to be with your family, with your children. And you see 40% of women, when they are becoming mothers, they leave. They leave the working place in high tech. So you see this. I mentioned already salary issues. It's not very pleasant to know that you're working in a place where your male colleague is earning more for the same job. And this is also something that affects women. And if we're going higher, longer in this pipeline, when you're going into startup companies and venture capitals, then you see for every 100 entrepreneurs, you find only 8 women. So 8% only in Israel, and that's, as you mentioned before, it gives the understanding that only a man can be, it gives some kind of notion that only a man can be a successful entrepreneur. You don't see women. So it's, psychologically speaking, it reinforces this notion, and it's another obstacle. And if we're talking about companies that made an exit, sold their companies for fortune, only 5% of women there. So that's even lower. So there are a lot of challenges here. And when you're talking about change, I think that one of the major issues that we need to tackle is women inside the venture capitals, because you see less women as board members, and if you are all male venture capital, you will invest in more male startups. So this is the pipeline, and of course there's a lot to say, and there are a lot of reasons, so maybe we'll say a few words later on.
Wow, thank you. Thank you very much. So what is clear that most of the challenges that Karen just mentioned doesn't relate just to Israel, and we do have benefits from other countries in the world. So do you have something to tell about your countries and to add something to the Israel situation? We've got John and Stacia.
Yes, thank you very much, Nina. Hello, everyone. I just wonder if I can ask you a question before I start talking about UK. How many of you feel that your gender has a negative impact on your career? Thank you. That's really interesting. I think in UK, I think we, as Karen said, we all see very similar numbers and very similar challenges. Although I think in the last few years, I think in FTSE 350, there has been a significant progress in terms of supporting women at work, while in technology industry, I think the progress is much slower, and that will affect women who are working for tech companies and women who want to run tech companies as well. And I was just reflecting on it in terms of, what are the reasons and why is that? And I think let's remember that any reverse in well-established trends is really complex and it takes a long time. 50 years ago, we would not be talking about female entrepreneurs. And look at us here, so many amazing women in this room. We would not be talking about female leaders. Those two words didn't go together. So I think, let's be positive about the future, because there's so much that can be done. And I do think that tackling 3 things, which is legal framework, business framework, and also just ethical and cultural framework. We need women because it's fair to have women represented. We are consumers. We should be influencing how the products are made, how technologies are designed. We consume those goods, we consume those products, therefore our voices do matter. And I think in UK, within FTSE 350, so I represent lots of organizations which are large corporate organizations. Most of them are global, but with a very strong UK IT presence. And I would say with all of those organizations, you will find diversity and inclusion now as the strategic initiative. So it is for part of strategy, and the leaders start to be accountable for delivering the strategy. And I think this accountability really matters. People have to report back on data. People have to be measured on data and monitored how they implement all those initiatives as well. And we've had some fantastic experiences and showed examples of data. But I also think that's very important that we don't focus just on demographics, but we look at that data related to talent management, to performance management, to compensation schemes, because that data is very often hidden, and that's where inclusion comes to play. It's not just about numbers, it's about actual voices being heard in the boardrooms.
Wow, thank you, Joanna.
Can I also add a couple of words? Even though I'm Russian and I'm from St. Petersburg, but the last 2 years I'm living in Dubai, and I just want to share a couple of insights on the Middle East and how it works there, and we can maybe also compare it to Israel, because it's yeah. So this is also, but let's see how it goes there. As for me, I just want, we have spoken a lot about statistics already, and now I'd like to share a couple of very personal stories about me working together with Arabic ladies. And I just want to say that I'm so much impressed about them. Like, I'm really in love with them, and it's very interesting. Even though the Eastern societies, they're very, very traditional, you can imagine. And still all these things, like family is right in the middle there, as we can see, it really affects women a lot. But now as Middle East, and I would say more about the GCC countries. This is the Gulf Cooperation Council countries, those around the Arabian Gulf, which we know in Russian as Persitsky Zaliv. I think more tell about this. Those societies, they become more free at the moment, and you can see how much excited women are to go and do things. They are really there are amazing project managers. There are like different kind of managers, but I can talk about project managers because I worked with them a lot. It's very interesting how much more brave women became at the Middle East, because I've been working with Saudi Arabia a lot at one of the Expo project. I think you've heard about Dubai Expo happening this year. So we were making the Saudi Arabia pavilion, and both project managers were Saudi ladies. And I can say that they were like much greater than men, really, and men were listening to them, because those girls, they really knew what's happening, they really know what to do. And once you overcome all those self-confidence issues, you really become more powerful. And I've seen this with those ladies, and just like, I still have that image in my mind, and it's just a huge inspiration for me, especially when I know how challenging it is to do these things in the traditional society. And I think it's just great. And maybe you also, or you guys from the audience, have some other nice stories to share about this.
Yeah, thank you. This is Saudi Arabia. Well, so do you have any exciting stories?
Please,
to share.
Exciting stories.
I can share an exciting story.
Yes.
Yes. I really like what you just mentioned on this wall. We have kind of a presence of all possible challenges. I really like the question from the audience about the CTOs. And my question was, are you a CTO?
Yeah.
And I think this is applaudisment, really. Because this is the first CTO I met in my life, female CTO. And I work with the startups a lot, and with the female driven startups, female-led startups. And as Anastasia also said, I think that the main problem is the lack of confidence. And it comes from the families, and comes from the stereotypes that women have the particular role in the society, and they should follow this role. And business is not kind of a female role. So I think every country has different, context of this problem, but the problem is still the same, and it is lack of confidence. And I just love that one story which I want to share. This story relates to the UK investor. Actually, she's from the UK, and she's a part of the Global Entrepreneur Program run by the Department for International Trade of the UK. And she's an impact investor as well. So she invested in India. She's originally Indian. She invested in India in the project to support female entrepreneurs in India. So, and as everywhere else, women in India also needed self-confidence. So she provides microcredits or grants to those females to start their own businesses. But the fun thing they need to do first before they start their own business is to build the isolated bathroom just for these particular women. So she says that business starts from dignity. Dignity provides you the confidence. And once you have dignity and confidence, you can start running a business. And I think this is an incredible story, an incredible example how in one particular village, actually it is in the village, self-confidence. And they facilitated, they accelerated females doing their businesses. And I think if we have more stories like this, again, every country has its context. For example, somewhere religion comes first, like in the Middle East. But we need to find this, we need to hack this system and to find these solutions to actually increase self-confidence of our women. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. And it all starts with a personal story, I guess. Do you guys have something to share? Something exciting, something about, yeah. So please introduce yourself.
Hello everyone. I'm sorry I'm not CTO, but I'm vice-CTO in innovation industry. I work with one big party. We work with maintenance, repair organization for aviation in Russia. And I work with IT department and engineering department in our organization. About Dubai and Emirates, I worked in Sharjah. I think, 2 or 3 months because we had maintenance for Boeing 727 in Sharjah. Maybe you know about Gulf, Vedic Gulf, from the Dnieper Gulf. It was very interesting because it's Emirates, it's Arabic company, but with CEO in Russia, and it's a multinational company, and it was very comfortable for me because I'm a woman, but it was really comfortable. And I work with one man from Abu Dhabi, from Etihad Airline, and he is my mentor now. He supports me in different questions because I'm a lead engineer, I'm CTO, I work with different technology and technical questions in aviation. In Russia, it's very big challenge, but if you woman, it's more challenge because it's only in Russia, it's only man community. And of course, I know different women, girls, young girls after universities, and they try and really want to work in aviation, in maintenance, not only planning department or different paperwork. Yeah, they want work with airplanes because it's very interesting, it's a big challenge, but they can't do it because it's a work only for men, and you need to try every day to fight with this system. Thank you so much for this conference, meeting. It's really good for support.
So, great.
My name is Nelly.
Nelly, nice to Nice to meet you. I'm sorry, it's such an amazing story and such a men's world, but I do have someone to prove it wrong. Also, maybe give us a little bit of hope. Here's my good friend who is a CEO of logistics company. And like logistics in Russia, oh my God. So this beautiful lady is managing, and thank you all for making it, for giving us a hope, all of them. So we've said a lot about the challenges today, and probably we are all everywhere globally at the same page. And I believe that the purpose of this event is not just to see how poor we are and then to live in this crazy world, but to do something. And it's enough to wait for the government. It's enough to wait for someone to lead us. The future starts now, and everyone, like all of us, and each and every one of us, we could do something together. So let's just think. Wait, Henrik, the next slide, please. So let's think about the practical tips, what we and each and every one of us can do today, and what could we value the most, what could be help for us. So again, Menti.com, the code 663287, and let's type anything that you believe personally would help you to raise your voice, or it could be any type of mentorship program, because we do have a lot of international mentorship, women to women type of support. We do have women leadership communities, and as a follow-up to this event, I'm going to send everyone the list of amazing links to different programs that you can join. It could be networking events, online, offline, global, local, Russian, UK, whatever. Maybe you want to get a second education or to learn something new, and it will bring you more confidence. So let's see. Mentorship, networking. So speaking about networking, we're going to finish pretty soon. Please don't leave, because there are so many amazing women here, and it's our job to know each other, because there are not many of us. Education networking events. So mentorship program. Let me give a word to Joanna, because she's an expert.
I love mentoring. I love mentoring, and I tell you why. When I started running my own business, I've never done it before, but I decided to follow words of Pippi Longstockings. I don't know if you know this heroine, the strongest girl in the world, yes? And Pippi used to say, I've never done it before, that means I can do that. Yes, and that was exactly how I thought about owning the business and running the business. But I did feel lost. I wasn't sure where to go, where do I start, and I inherited quite mature business as well. So to change it and to be able to put my own stamp on that business was quite different and quite challenging. And I was introduced through a network of friends to this gentleman who is now a partner in BCG, a global consultancy company. And he looked at me and he said, I absolutely understand where you are. I was in the same place. I run a small business. I know how difficult it is. If you want me to be your mentor, I'm here for you. And I grabbed that, I didn't let him go. So, 3 hours later, we established that we're going to have more formal mentoring relationship. And this mentoring relationship, it continues now, 5 years later. Russ is now based in New York. I'm in London. We meet online now. He can't come to UK at the moment because of pandemic. So we have 1 hour every month where, it goes a little bit, me sharing all 500 ideas that I have, and then him looking at me saying, why are you doing this? So it is a bit like that. But mentoring, I would encourage everyone to just be brave and ask people who you admire, who you hear about, can you be my mentor? Reach out to people through your networks, professional networks, private networks. You always find someone who will be willing to share. And you don't have to have just one mentor. You can have mentor, I have a friend who is my mentor, she knows me for years, so I go to her with certain questions. I go to my technology mentor to talk about our business mentors. I have my membership council where you have technologists on board and they are my mentors in a way. So I would say just be brave and apply and ask people, and there'll be always people who'll be willing to share, and use professional networks. And if you want to find mentors in UK, do let me know, because we have plenty of women who'll be very happy to mentor you.
Wow. Thank you. It looks like I'm going to ask for one. Yeah, because I just wanted to add about the mentorship thing, that for me, like, I always wanted to have a mentor, but somehow I had like this inner fear because it's kind of asking for help officially. And it's always challenging, and I don't know, like, is it challenging for you too?
Yes.
Like, yeah, please raise your hand if it is.
No.
Oh my God, you're so lucky.
Challenging. So,
Because
Okay.
Hello, first of all, thank you so much for a great chance to hear your experience. My name is Julia. I am the owner of the project and CEO of the project here in Moscow with the shows. And I'm very lucky to have a great experience of learning from the brands with whom I work. It's Marriott, so with the vice presidents, with the education of them, with their experience. Anyhow, this world is all about win-win, and all the negotiations in business is always about bringing something and getting back. So about mentoring, I also have an inner fear that if I ask for this time, what can I bring back? I mean, I'm ready and I'm so excited to give back, but what exactly I will give back? And this inner fear makes me sometimes not so strong to ask for this help. But I think it's wrong, and it's the point of my inside feeling.
thank you. Thank you. It's a fears. We all face fears.
Yeah.
So, but oh my God, we're so lucky because we do have a mentor here. Please share.
Yeah, actually, we do have an issue with the female founders. Once they come in, they never ask for help. They try not to lose the image. So the guy is coming and saying, like, yeah, can I have this, and this? And the girl is coming like, yeah, we did that, and I would work on that. I would do my best, and we will do that. You're like, no, let's work on that. What's the problem? What's the issue right now? What's the bottleneck in the business? So once we understand the bottleneck, then they say, yeah, that's actually true. I do have an issues in this field, and I don't know how to do this, and they're actually struggling to lead the team. And then you help the team, the female-led team, and you see the results. Like, they're incredible. Sometimes you have the triple growth just helping them because they don't ask. Another thing which we see is that actually, if I'm talking to the female founders, they usually have a lower valuation, a lower demand for the capital. That's what I was talking about before. So like, yeah, we wanted to make our company profitable. We would reach break-even in 6 months, and it's going to be fine. We don't need more fundraising. We would just have that, and then we would have an incredible business. Yeah, but what about the big vision? Yeah, like, yeah, probably I would have several millions in the future. But why? Like, what are you building? Like something incredible. What's the asset you're building? Yeah, we would have a lot of workers working in ad tech, and I think it's incredible. And then you try to feel that incredible picture that makes you get up from the bed at 6 a.m. like, I want to do that. And all the team want to do that because they have this big vision. But women are less likely to build this big vision, and they're less self-confident in themselves. So once you're talking with the person, I usually look to the profiles of the founders before the meetings. I go through LinkedIn, from the news, trying to see to have the reference from the companies they have worked with, and I understand their background. And then I'm asking a man, and I'm asking men, and I'm asking a woman, like, what have you done? What's your experience? Why are you going to be successful in this particular role? And men usually say a lot, like, they're selling great. They exaggerate what they have done. And that's great. Like, you're buying that. You're an investor. You have hundreds of EGDEX during the day, right? So you kind of bored, and then this is a great story, like, I'm buying. Like, and this is a big vision. Oh, that's amazing. I do agree. And once I'm talking to the women, they're saying, yeah, I had the background in this. I did that, but they cannot solve. But when you work with the teams and say, yeah, that's all right to share your experience. You've done a great job. Look at your results. That's incredible. Like compare with the market. And after several sessions, you understand that they could be better in that. They could sell themselves. They could be consistent. And moreover, we have seen the case with Dubai, like if we're talking about MENA region. So the case with Dubai, we have few male founders trying to do the business there. But they failed because there was a chaotic ecosystem. They couldn't just connect the dots.
I know this.
And then female founders came like, oh, chaotic, that's my market. That's going to be incredible. I will connect the dots and it's going to be my market. And they do great. Like all the men are working with them. Like that's a man-dominated field in pharma. And they work with female founders. And they actually the leader right now in the market. But the male founders have a problem with chaotic things. Sometimes, not always, but I mean, most likely. And they move to the European markets. So we see incredible results while you spend time on helping the founders to improve. And actually, women trying to do their best. They're trying to reach the excellence, right? That's why they're listening, they're learning, they're implementing, and you see the results. And then when they know that it's okay to ask for the help, they grow even faster because they're not struggling if you need help. They saw that. Not saying everyone else because I could lose the image. Because I'm female, I don't want to look weak, right? That's briefly just a few points I want to mention. But there are much more. That's why it's important just to spend time with people like that.
I have a question. Can I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a question to Joanna and to Dina together as like people involved in mentorship. So we've discussed a lot of challenges and they are all pretty similar from country to country. My question is very simple. What can we do to improve this situation?
I have an idea. Please. The ideas comes like that. So does any of you want to be a mentee and got a mentor that could help you? Raise your hand. You. Does any of you want to become a mentor and mentor someone with the experiences that you got? Yay.
I would like to point out
1,
to you
2,
guys
3.
that there's lots of people who are also looking for reverse mentoring.
So please don't hesitate to become mentors yourselves because I benefited from reverse mentoring. I've got a young team. They mentor me. Yes, I want to learn how they think, how they see the workplace in the future and what can we do to accommodate that. So reverse mentoring is something that in UK is quite popular now. And I would definitely encourage you to do both, is being mentee and a mentor as well.
I mean, I totally agree with you. So we've got so many people who want to mentor. We've got so many people who want to have a mentee. So we guys have your emails. So let me think about some, maybe I will request to a CTO, some kind of structure where we can match, because each one we can, so let me just build a quick bridge between mentoring and networking. So I personally, I moved to Israel 6 years ago. I was so proud of myself. I had experience in marketing, in global companies. I was sure that everyone would stand on the line and offer me the best positions ever. Never happened. I had 6 months old baby. It was a new country, new language, new mentality, like everything. We have a word balagan in Hebrew, which is the same in Russian. It's like balagan. My life turned upside down. And I wasn't able to find a job because in Israel, you're supposed to know someone who could recommend you to someone to take your CV. How can I get new friends if I'm the first one in the country? I have no one there. So I started, someone told me that there is this NGO and they will provide you with mentor. What the hell is mentor? I'm not experienced and I didn't want anyone's help because I'm good by myself. But somehow I admitted that I need help. I'm new, I'm in a new country, I'm weak, I'm my mother. I have no idea what to do with this crying piece of child behind me. And my first mentor, she was Russian. She lived in Israel like 10 years before me. And she started just talk to me and ask me,
What do I do? How can I convert myself to a new market? Do I know any people? What's my strengths, etc., etc. And somehow it led me. I started to talk to people, and she helped me to crack this pipe and to go to networking events, to meet people, to ask for help. And mentorship and networking, it works best everywhere with any niche you've got. So let us create some kind of follow-up when you will submit if you want to become a mentor or mentee, and we'll do some type of program.
Nina, I'm happy to share. We've got the mentoring form that helps people to identify their needs. So I'm very happy to share with you. So if you can then distribute it later, then might focus. I just wanted to actually just comment on the fear of getting mentor, because what people will get out of it. And I think from what we can see through our network, there's so many people volunteering to be mentors, because you do get a great sense of achievement. I think people usually, they achieve quite a lot in their careers and they want to give back as well. But also they learn, you learn advisory skills, you know how to advise someone, you know how to communicate better, how to question people. So people actually mentoring, they see it as it's a part of career development for many people within our member organizations. To be a mentor adds to their portfolio of skills. So I would definitely don't hesitate to ask people to mentor.
Only to say that I was going to say exactly the same thing, that one of the things I enjoyed most is mentoring other people, because the pleasure you get helping somebody who's obviously talented but holding themselves back to get promoted, it's a huge privilege to be a mentor. And it's also enormously flattering when somebody says, I respect you, I've seen how you work, I'd like to talk to you about that. That's hugely. And just to say, yeah, in my own career, mentoring has been a huge enabler, both, again, men who've mentored me and women, and who perhaps get something slightly different from both. It's really useful to hear a male's perspective as well on how you're portraying the problems, etc., and also obviously to have a woman's perspective. So I wouldn't be in Russia basically without a mentor who sort of gave me a gentle push to apply. So yeah, just even though I know all the theory and I've thought about women's equality for years and years and years, I think it's always still good to have that challenge.
This is fantastic. Yeah, I just wanted to share my experience as well, because I belong to the international entrepreneur community, and I'm a part of many different female clubs, female communities in Austria and in the UK. And there are two formats basically, which I wanted to share. One is the mentorship format, which I quite enjoy because I'm a part of the Global Entrepreneurs Program, the UK program, and they provide you the mentorship. And apart from that, I'm a part of the female community of Barclays. Do you know the Barclays Bank in the UK? They have the female infrastructure. They provide free offices, free co-working space. They provide support in opening the bank account, and also they provide you free mentorship. And my mentor appeared to be from Canada. So when I first talked to her, I felt a bit awkward as well, because I couldn't understand why was she helping. She was helping me, and I asked her, actually, why do you help me? And she said, because I enjoy it, I want to give back. So I now have, just recently, I was also contacted via LinkedIn by a woman who offered her mentorship to me. So she is a part of this project called SHIO, like CEO, but SHIO, and she joined it as an activator, and she's providing free advice. She works for the UBS UK, for UBS UK, and she provides this mentorship support just to females who are female entrepreneurs who are doing projects in social impact, for social impact. But this format is very much helpful, but there's an alternative format as well. It is a peer-to-peer support. So there are also platforms where you can just post whatever you need. Like I need a contact in the industry of pharmacy, for example, pharmacy industry. And there's a community of hundreds of women who say, oh, okay, I know people there, I can contact you. There are other formats of this peer-to-peer help, and it's also very helpful. For example, in this global entrepreneurs program, we only have there's a female group as well, which is cool, and we have a monthly catch-up call where everyone can say, okay, I need this thing this month, and then the community just, okay, I can help you there, I can help you there. So I think that in Impact, the female club which we launched with Anna is also here. Hi. Yeah. So we will try to build something like this because this peer-to-peer help is very fast and very effective. So I think it's also a good format for you to check, and Nina and I will share the links in the follow-up email with those opportunities which exist on the market. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Can I just add something to the question of what do I get, what can I give back? You don't have to necessarily give back. You can give to somebody else and make your own commitment, because huge research is done, and in Israel we see that one of the major obstacles is the lack of role models for younger girls, for schoolgirls. They don't even know what can become out of this route if they take technology studies or science studies and so on. So if you want to feel better with asking for help by saying, okay, I will go to a school and give some kind of speech to the children and talk about my job, and this is definitely something that you can be a role model. I'm sure you are already a role model, and this will be somehow not bringing back to the mentor, but bringing back to the community and to the industry in general.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Absolutely agree with what's been said, and just to add something. Exactly, you don't need to necessarily give something back. We can pay it forward. And the thing with mentoring is that to build that community also and inspire each other, support each other as women, and see what's possible. About being vulnerable, asking for help, just look at it this way. Let's say when you're a patient and you need to see your doctor, like, yeah, you're vulnerable, but you get help. You feel better later on and go on with your life. So with mentoring, it's important to, like, first of all, networking is essential. It's really gives you hope and inspires you to do better and to take chances and risks. And you see, sharing success stories can be really empowering as well. So I would highly encourage everyone to get a mentor, become a mentor or a mentee, and you'll see great results shortly. Thank you.
Thank you. So we've got just 30 minutes left because it's the middle of working day and you all made it here. Thank you so much. It's a huge effort. And I propose to, first of all, thank you our generous partners who made this possible and who made it happen. Anna, Impact. Just no. British Embassy, the Embassy of Israel, Moscow Innovation Cluster, and everyone here. And I propose to spend the next 30 minutes of doing something that you probably never done of you before, or some of you haven't done it. Let's talk with the people we don't know, we've never met. So you all came with a friend, or someone you know. So let's have a glass of champagne, water, coffee, you name it, and speak with someone you've never met before, and don't forget to change contacts. And masks. Thank you. And wear masks. That's important. Yana, do you want to say something, or let's do the networking and?
Thank you. Yana, I'm a CEO of Zero Ventures. It's the first impact fund which is focused on female founders. So in a week, we will publish the first survey of female-founded companies in Russia. All data will be comparable to Crunchbase and PitchBook. So I just would like to maybe add some data about Russia. And it's interesting that in Russia we have enough female projects in general. It's even more than average in Europe. In Europe, it's about 14%. In Russia, it's about 17%. But we have much less investment deals with the projects. So, for example, in Russia, only one of 7 projects, female projects, attract external investments, to compare with 1 of 4 male projects, just to know. And so as a result, only 1 of 9 investment deals is made with female projects. I just want to maybe remember this is with self-confidence and so on, as already was said, as the key limit for female funders, because also we add to our survey some role model example. I think we should mention, I know, boundaries. Yes, we know in Russia. Yes, and we have in the last year very successful IPO of Ozon, which is now valued about $12 billion. And we don't know the exact value of boundaries, but we know that it at least 2 times more than Ozon, just to remember. Yes, and also we see that in Russia, in COVID time, which was very successful, really, our projects. For example, in general, venture market, it was decreased by 13%, but investment in female projects was increased in 27%. So just to remember this. Yes, and I hope in a week we will be able to share with you detailed results of our survey. Thank you very much.
Hi, everybody. Sorry to hijack it. I'll be really short. My name is Evgenia, and I work for Business School Skolkovo. And Yana, thank you very much for sharing the statistics. Just one comment. Thank you for this inspirational talk. Just when I saw the statistics, I, in real time, shared it with my friend who is has like tremendous experience in investment and VCs and stuff like this. And like, look, women are underrepresented. And guess what the response was? The figures are not right. And they're like, what do you mean they're not right? And he's like very familiar with the methodology and statistic and stuff like this. And he told me one thing that, you know, it's like there are 20 kids in the class and only 4 girls. And you give 1 sweet to every kid and complain that girls are not getting enough sweets. And that was mind-blowing for me. It's the sample is not representative, it's just 1 person, but that made me think that maybe, and like his conclusion was, if there are only 4 girls in the class, why are not there more girls in the class? What's stopping you from coming to the class? And I'm like, it's on the slide. It's to the left. It's like 6 points. Can you even read? So the conversation became very heated, but however, it made me think that maybe there are guys out there, our partners, our co-workers, who are not as aware of the problem as they should be.
We've got one.
So just one, yeah, so look around, like we are ladies, we're supporting each other, we're talking about creating communities, peer-to-peer support. It's incredible. It works wonders. I think that we need to add men to this conversation as much as possible, because I have a feeling with this guy, who's a very close friend of mine, that they simply don't know. Some of them do, but not all of them. So that was also the point about mentorship. I'm part of a lot of mentoring programs as a mentor, as mentee. It does work wonders. I recommend to everyone, but I think it was Sheryl Sandberg who started this Mentor Her thing, where she was encouraging guys like in top positions to mentor some talented lady and help them thrive and help them achieve their goals. So I think that we all should look around and do 2 things: make them aware and invite them into the conversation. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I just like to add to the numbers which we emphasized. We also have comparisons of, there's 3 key dimensions of number of female projects. First, it's the percentage of female projects in general. Then the percentage of investment deals with female projects. And the second, the percentage of investment amount which this project received. So in all countries, really, it's very different. For example, in Russia, it declined. So we have more projects, but less deals and more or less investments. But for example, in Israel, it's very interesting statistic that the percentage of female projects almost equal to percentage of females deals with this project. It's a very good sign to compare, for example, with Russia.
Thank you. So Yana, if you don't mind, in a week when it's going to be published, I will add it to the link that we'll share with everyone.
Sure.
So just to see the numbers. So thank you all. And we are not saying goodbye, we're just starting to know each other. Let's grab a drink, water, coffee, whatever, and let's meet each other. Remember, with the people you don't know. Never. Thank you.
Рюкзак такой огромный. А, твой? Ты где-то ждешь недалеко? Нет. Нам с вами нельзя общаться. С вами хорошо, друг знаю. Слушайте, ну как круто, я чуть не ожидала вас еще обеих. Да, я тоже. Я специально. Не пришла меня поддержать. У нас история того, что мы создаем форматы, в которых люди могут использовать язык вне окружения культурной среды, начиная от простых вещей типа квеста, очевидно, и таких курсов, таких культуры, и правила своих отношений через историю. И узнают, что были все эти условные замечания, лучше это знают и так далее, и при этом учить. То есть
свои контакты, да? А у вас рынки, какие у вас рынки?
мы смотрим, то есть мы начали с России, потому что она нам понятна. Но поскольку на Middle East, да, потому что... Нет, мы пока туда не перешли. А я сфотографировала.
То есть вы прям молодец.
Мы прям очень
А вы, по мнению, сколько старости?
да? Нет, мы очень молодые.
Старость. Да.
Нет, ну, у нас история с Middle East такая, у всех сложная.
Ну, у нас очень, наверное, не
Хотите? Да, я просто...
Простите, можно узнать, из организаторов кто-то есть? Вопрос по основной организации, которая поддерживает транспортный производство. Я работаю в институте развития, в банк развития. Просто у меня есть несколько предпринимателей, которые нуждаются в помощи. Вот, поэтому я хотел узнать, какое развитие проекта. Ну, вы здесь есть. Хорошо, спасибо. Я изучу, передам. Спасибо.
It's really interesting when you talk to people who are in the very male-dominated industries. Because, yeah, and I think that there are also reasons going on in the UK. There were lots about generally getting and when you're advertising, very often the language that you use, the government is very male, it's kind of and there's lots of work that went to actually make sure that the government so they apply in the first place. And then when they apply, I think there are things in the show that kind of things that it's not just from the and they are bored, but there are things that you can do women have to go into and there was the exact need for and then second kind of pieces the wrong way around. The teachers was never was taught and was like, oh, I'm a woman, I got to yes, and we just version of them. I have to and then very well, I don't know how that is. But you know, it's not and I know that this is just but I think that honestly, the whole like is right out that says that I let's not do it's okay, I'm a happy fan, it's good, I make it they will start to get active There's a great video. I think that's on YouTube. It's a primary school, and I know that she was about 6, and then she made the girl she makes and they all go men. Yes, and then there's women coming to the classroom and they say, oh, and I think it was such a great How are you?